Because many individuals are constantly testing the boundaries of every person they encounter, consciously or subconsciously. They push. They prod. They press, relentlessly searching for where the line is drawn. And if you never draw that line, they conclude that no such boundary exists. They won't vocalize it, but internally, the thought forms, this person won't and fears confrontation. And they will. Not because they are inherently evil, but because people respond to what you tolerate. If you permit someone to interrupt you, they will continue. If you perpetually give more than you receive, they will come to expect it. If you never utter the word no, you are not seen as generous, you are seen as weak. Niceness becomes a self-imposed cage. Machiavelli's strategic kindness. So, what would Machiavelli advise? He would tell you to cherish your kindness, but to weaponize it. Let it be a strategy, not an automatic default. Offer your generosity only to those who genuinely respect the value of your gift. Speak softly, but understand when to deploy silence as a potent form of power. Assist others, but never at the expense of your own dignity. And most importantly, be unpredictable. Machiavelli believed unpredictability was one of the most powerful forms of protection. When people cannot anticipate your response, when they are uncertain whether your smile conceals steel, they tread carefully. But if your response is always passive, you become a script they've already memorized, a puppet whose strings they can effortlessly manipulate. There's a dangerous myth that equates being feared with being evil, that strength and kindness are mutually exclusive. But that is a fabrication spun by those who dread losing control over you. True power resides in embodying profound kindness, yet unafraid to inspire awe and even fear. Compassion but never bows for scraps. A person who smiles, but not for the purpose of being liked. This is how you break free from the niceness trap, not by becoming cruel, but by becoming sovereign. So remember this. Your kindness should be a gift, not an obligation. Your empathy should be chosen, not expected. And your approval should be earned, never assumed. Because when kindness is inextricably paired with strength, it becomes divine. But when kindness is all you are, it becomes your prison. The inevitability of betrayal. Betrayal rarely originates from strangers. It emerges from those you once shared laughter with, confided in, and fiercely protected. And that, chillingly, is what makes it so utterly devastating. It doesn't feel like an overt attack. It feels like a slow, insidious poison, subtly administered behind a familiar smile. Machiavelli grasped a fundamental truth that most people stubbornly refuse to accept: loyalty is not eternal. It is conditional, fragile, and perpetually negotiable. The notion that your friends, your partners, even your most trusted confidants, could one day act against your interests is profoundly unsettling. Genesis of wisdom. Psychology of betrayal. You cease expecting unconditional loyalty, and you begin constructing an unbreakable strategy. Human beings are inherently opportunistic. We are fundamentally wired to seek comfort, security, validation, and power, and we will frequently switch allegiances the moment an alternative path offers a greater reward. We cleverly cloak this tendency in noble justifications. But at its core, the mechanism is simple: people pursue advantage. Nature is fluid. Player on the board, the gravitational center around which others orbit. The next, a new force emerges, more useful, more valuable, more threatening. And in that precise moment, loyalty subtly, instinctively, shifts. That friend who once sang your praises begins to whisper behind your back. External support stops returning your calls. That lover who once uttered "forever" starts to withdraw, their gaze wandering to someone else. They don't betray you because you failed them. They betray you because they perceive a greater gain from someone else. And the depth of your shared history? It becomes utterly irrelevant. In the brutal arena of power, history is merely a memory, and people will ruthlessly rewrite it in a heartbeat if it serves their immediate survival. Machiavelli's chilling admonition: never trust in affection alone. He advised rulers, and by extension, anyone who wields influence, to assume that betrayal is an ever-present possibility. Not to succumb to paranoia, but to remain perpetually prepared. The gravest error you can commit is to presume loyalty is a permanent fixture. Because here's the unvarnished truth. When your power wanes, so too does their loyalty. When your usefulness ends, so too does their presence. When their envy escalates, so too does their silent desire to see you fall. This isn't cynicism. It's psychological realism. We all carry shadows within us, hidden desires for dominance, for recognition, for even quiet revenge. Sometimes, even your closest friend jealousy they never articulate aloud. They smile. They offer support. They laugh with you. But deep beneath that facade, they secretly hope you'll stumble. Not necessarily out of malice, but because your very light casts a shadow on their own sense of worth. And if ever presented with the chance to elevate themselves by dimming your shine, strategies for the inevitable. So, what do? For pedestal, you grant them unearned purity, you willfully ignore glaring warning signs. When you blindly assume loyalty, vigilance. Instead, meticulously observe people's behavior over time. Do they only offer support when it's convenient for them? Do their private remarks about you differ wildly from their public ones? Do they compete with your successes rather than genuinely celebrating them? They are undeniable signals of future betrayal. Second, do not rely solely on fragile emotional bonds. Cultivate value that others genuinely need, indispensable skills, far-reaching influence, critical resources. When you are truly indispensable, people will think twice before turning on you.